So to this new office hour call. It's September 8th. So feel free to unmute yourself if you have any question. Today we're going to be talking about a few things. First of all, I will start as always by reviewing the latest release notes, and you will see there are not a lot of things at the moment on VMC. Next topic I would like to talk about is migration of physical VMs and EC2 instances as well, because this is kind of questions I've been facing with one of my customers very recently, especially about migrating when you don't have vCenter. And you will see that H6 is not a solution in that case, because H6 will require vCenter. I'm going to talk a little bit about the H6 network extension requirements, because there also I've been facing one question, one issue, I would say. I guess it's not really an issue, it's just a configuration that needs to be done prior to extending more than two, I would say when you have more than one VDS and you want to extend more than 8 VLANs, or when you want to multiply the number of network extension appliances, you have to adapt a little bit the VMC configuration. And another topic maybe we'll be talking about at the end, I would like to talk about a little bit the VMware ports and protocols portal that we can leverage sometimes when we have questions related to ports and connectivity to open on the firewall when it's needed. So first of all, let's have a look on the latest VMware Cloud on AWS release notes. So as I said, there are not so much to be honest. We have been releasing two minor versions, so 110 version 8 and 110 version 7, where we have fixed some networking issues and storage issues. So not too much to talk about. So I'm not going to talk too much as needed. But if you have any question, no problem. So I'm going to switch directly to this topic, which I found very interesting. So this topic I want to talk about is the workload migration from on-prem to VMC, because it's a question I've got to tackle with some weeks ago with one of my customers, and especially about migrating physical instances or EC2 instances also, because some customers are asking for that kind of migration, which is a bit not strange, but it's not a common situation. So we know we have several options to migrate VMs from a typical VMware configuration with HTX or vMotion, but what if we don't have the vCenter? That's a question maybe you have. Especially when you need to migrate a physical server. So we used to play with the VMware converter in the past when it comes to migrate a physical server to do P2V. And this is probably a very good option as well when it comes to migrating those physical servers, because it's working. I mean, you can use VMware converter as a migration tools if you want to do that kind of migration. And it's also something you can leverage when it comes to migrate EC2 instances directly from EC2 instances. Let's say that are running on the attached VPC that is attached to your SDDC configuration. So it's really possible. I'm gonna show you a little bit how we can do that. So I've got their Windows VM running on my lab. I've got installed VMware converter, and so let's say so it's a standalone version of VMware converter. So there are several options with VMware converter. You can you can directly, if you want, convert the local machine on which you run VMware Converter, but you can also connect to your vCenter server if you have one. So, but the idea there is really not to leverage vCenter. So let's use my local VM. So as a destination, there it's mentioned VMware Infrastructure Virtual Machine, and it's totally possible to enter the vCenter of your SDDC. So this is what I'm going to do. So I just need to grab the connectivity credential for that. So the username is obviously cloudadmin@vmc.local, and also I've got the password there. Okay. Chat. So I just see a little bit a chat coming. Oh, you don't see my screen? Sorry. Yeah, I made a little mistake maybe. Okay, sorry. You see my screen now? It's probably better by sharing. So yeah, so let me just recap a little bit. So yeah, so VMware Converter is installed on one of my VM, and so let me maybe go back a little bit. So I'm going to grab my local machine there. I'm going to configure my vCenter SD in my SDDC and enter the credential cloudadmin@vmc.local and the password also. And then you'll see that the VMware Converter will connect to the SDDC, to the vCenter SDDC, and will grab information of this vCenter. So let's say it will ask, for instance, for a new name for this VM. Let's say it's a converted VM, for instance. So you have to grab in your inventory where you want to put this VM. So let's grab workloads, for instance. Then you're going to be asked to select the resource pool. So you cannot select the management resource pool because you don't have the credential and the rights and the permissions to put any VM on this resource pool. So the only one you can choose is the compute resource pool. For the data store, you cannot select vSAN data store because this is the data store that is used by the workload of the management workload. So you have to choose workload data store. Then you click next, and so it's verifying the destination parameters. And preparing for the conversion of my VM directly from it to the SDDC. So there is one thing you need to know is you have to change the network because it's more important that you select one of the network you have already prepared on the SDDC. So it's one of the segments that are in the compute segments that are configured. So let's grab one of them. And this means that it will be automatically attached to these segments on the SDDC. And that's it. I mean, you can just click finish and it's going to start to convert your local machine to the VMC on AWS. So no problem. So this is working with physical machines. It could be also an EC2 instance running on VMC. It's been tested on AWS, so it's been tested. It's working, and it is one of the possibilities you have if you don't have these options to leverage HCX, and if you don't have vCenter running to manage the VMs that or the physical server that you want to migrate to VMC. So very cool feature. and very uncostly because it's a free version that you can use. Any question on that? Any comments? Okay, so if not, let's continue. So the next topic I wanted to share. Yes, just to finish on this, there is a cool blog that's been written by one of our experts on that topics. If you want to get more, I will share with you the link. And obviously, if you don't know VMware Converter, there is a link for you to get more familiar with this tooling. So let's switch now to the next topic. The next topic is about HCX, and it's about migrating VMs without change the IP of the VMs, because this is something which is very very important to know and to leverage, because in many cases, if you don't have to re-IP your VMs, it's really bringing a lot of value, and it will facilitate and accelerate the migration from on-prem to VMC. So one of the features that is possible in HCX is this network extension. So the network extension is layer 2 extension. It's doing just an extension of the on-prem VLAN or any LAN you may have to the SDDC. And one of the restriction also you need to know. So I've shared the page for the restriction for the network extension. So one of the major one is you cannot extend the management network. So where the on-prem vCenter and ESXi VM kernel networks are on. So you really have to have a distinct management network and from the VLAN or network you want to extend. You cannot extend also trunk ports, trunk networks. It's not possible, and all the networks that you need to you want to extend have to be tagged. So you cannot extend untagged networks. It's really only the distributed port group with VLAN, with a specific VLAN. And the other things you need to know and keep in mind that HCX network extension will not support a standard switch. It's only working with the distributed switch. So you may say sometimes, how can I extend my network if I don't have a distributed switch? Let's say I'm using a standard switch on-prem and I don't have any VLANs as well configured in the switch. So in that case, what we promote and what we advise is to have to create a small cluster with two ESXi hosts on which you will deploy the DV switch, and then you will attach this. You will create a VLAN on this DV switch, so temporarily, obviously. And then it's possible to attach this DV switch to the ESXi small cluster, host cluster, and attach it back to the network you want to extend, without requiring to deploy any vSwitch on your cluster. And then you can activate and deploy HCX on this cluster. By the way, HCX is for network extension is deploying one network extension appliance on-prem and one at the same time one on the cloud, and there is an IPsec tunnel which is going to be established between the two HCX appliances to do the network extension. And once network have been extended to the SDDC, then you can start the workload migration. So this means that you can. So you're going to have one network extension per distributed virtual switch, But what happens if you, let's say, you have several distributed switch? So this is one question and one concern that one of my customers also asked me very recently. So this kind of situation could be quite tricky if you don't know how to tackle it, because by default on the VMC side, it's only so you have several public IP, as you may know. When you leverage H6, you can extend the network over VPN or over let's say internet or over DX. But if you have internet, it's going to use a public IP from SDDC. And on the SDDC, by default, there is only one public IP that can be used for the external network. So if you need additional public IP, you have to ask for them. And I'm going to show you that directly on the interface. And then you'll be able to use those new IP address to create additional network extension appliance, because otherwise, if you look, for instance, there I have a service mesh, and I have so I'm connecting to the vCenter SDDC, and just to show you the external network there is already two IP address in usage. There is no public IP address left for creating or for installing any additional network appliance. So if you want to do that, you will have to request an additional IP address. So let's say you have, so this is my SDDC there. So if you go onto the networking and security tab, you can go to the system public IPs and you can request new IP, new public IPs from and from AWS. You will get an additional one. So here, let's say by default you have only the HX1 here, and you have the HX Fleet 1 and Fleet 2 for the HX appliance. But if you need an additional one, let's say there I have created one, you will get this new public IP that you can use afterwards when you configure the service mesh. So, okay. So there are two situations when two cases when you will have to ask for additional public IP address. When you have more, when you need more than 8 networks to be extended, because by default the network extension appliance can extend up to 8 VLANs. So if you have to extend more than 8 VLANs, you need another network appliances. And as I said, it's deployed on-prem and in the cloud. So if you don't have any public IP left in the cloud, it won't be able to deploy this new network extension appliance. And there is also another case if you need more network extension appliance. This is something that you can configure in your service mesh, because you consider that even if you have less than 8 VLANs, you have a lot of VMs which are very talkative, and then probably one network extension appliance will not be enough to manage all of the traffic, and you consider that maybe 2 appliances would be needed, and then you will have to select in the service mesh an additional network appliance to be deployed, and this is what I'm going to show you now. So this is a service mesh. So a service mesh basically it's a logical construct in HX which link two compute profile from on-prem. So the on-prem compute profile to the SDDC compute profile, and in this service mesh, you will be configuring a lot of networking profile, and you will also, this is also where you will, for instance, there configure the number of appliances that needs to be deployed per NS60 NVDS. So there I can select 1, 2, 3 appliance count. So if I do that, continue. So this is fetching the new compute profile, remote compute profile, and obviously there is no IP left. Even if I have created one new IP in my VMware Cloud console, I need to do some changes as well on the service mesh to be able to deploy an additional network appliance. So it's going to be failing at one moment. So any question on that? Any concern? Good. I consider a good good solutions to be known by the community, because sometimes you may arise to an error. This may bring you an error, and you don't for by default maybe you don't know it, and you consider maybe it's an error, or maybe it's a bug, or maybe there is a failure somewhere, but it's just a question that you have to change a little bit the configuration. Okay, so this is the kind of error you can get. So resource availability check has failed. External network. So this is the SDDC external network. Does not have sufficient free IPs required for appliances. So it seems to be scary messages, when you are, configuring HCX. But in fact, it's not really a big issue. It's not a big problem. And to be able to tackle that also, so there is a KB article that I will refer to. So this one. So I'm gonna copy that in the chat as well for reference for you. So how to deploy additional HX network extension appliances in the same service mesh. So this is detailing what I was saying, that let's say you want to extend more than 8 VLANs, or you need more than a single network extension appliance. Then you have to for instance, I did the service mesh, and this is what we did, and change the appliance count. And then if you want, you request this new public IP. Is exactly what I've been doing in the VMC console prior to this. And then you have to edit the external network profile of the VMC SDDC. So this is the next step there on your HX SDDC. You have to edit this external network profile. And this is where you will be adding the new IP address. So I probably have to copy it because I don't know it by heart. So this is this one. Okay. And what you need to do is just add this IP address in this IP pool range of the external network profile of SDDC. Then you will see it will show us 0 IP usage. So this IP is available, is a spare IP address available for installing a new network appliance. And then if I am going there, so after you've been doing that, you have obviously to reconfigure the service mesh, but it's not really a big deal. So there now you see on the external network, there is one free IP address that can be used. And if I want to add an additional, and you see also on the diagram there are small 2 appliance counts, and there are going to be 2 network extension appliances. Okay, I'll continue. Yeah, so yeah, this is very important to be aware of that. And then after you resync the service mesh for the changes to take effect, it will allow for deploying an additional network extension appliance. And there are really two cases. So you see there, now it's possible. So just click finish, and this is gonna deploy the additional appliances. So there are really two cases, as I said. If you want to have more than one DVS for one, more than two network extension per DVS, or when you want to extend a VLAN which is on the second DVS as well, because there is also this second case where sometimes you have several DVS with several VLANs, and you want to extend VLANs on the different DV switch, and then you will need one network appliances per DV switch. So this is also the second case where you will have to request this additional external IP. Okay, so I hope it's clear. I hope it's something that will help you when deploying HCX. Any question on that? Any comments? Any additional also comments from the field? We don't have so much people today from the field apart from Jill, but anyway. Oh, I see Demarcus. Yes, Jill, please. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah, and this is very important to mention because a lot of confusion sometimes are coming when it comes to see the requirements for HX. But it's very simple at the end of the day because HX is only working over internet or DX. This is the only thing we need to remember. So yeah. So yeah, I mean, maybe next time we'll talk about that, how to utilize HX over DX because it's a bit different. But there you're not leveraging public IP, you're leveraging a private IPs. And this obviously needs to update a little bit the configuration on the SDDC side as well. Okay. So that's it for this topic. I'm just gonna finish by talking about the VMware ports and protocols because this is something I found very interesting, and I'm not sure everybody knows this portal. And this is really something we are referring a lot now because some folks and some customers are asking a lot about which ports I need to open for not only for HCX but for a lot of different use cases or topics. And I found this this website, so I'm gonna also post it in the chat. I found this portal very interesting when it comes to plan the firewall rules that needs to be open. For H6, I would say it's okay. It's not the most complicated at the end of the day because really H6, there are only two ports that needs to be open one way. So it's TCP 443 from on-prem to SDDC and UDP 4500. And so it allows for very few changes in firewall rules. Where, let's say, for instance, usually vSphere replication or vMotion will imply much more ports to be open, like TCP 8000 in both direction, NFC. Yeah, so very large number of ports sometimes. Nothing in the chat. What's your point, Jill? Sorry. Did not get you. Yeah, yeah. I put. Oh, really? Yeah, I post it in the chat. You don't see anything in the chat? Okay, that's strange because seems to be to all panelists. Okay, so maybe it's not an attendees. Yes, sorry, I made a mistake again. So yes, now it's working, I guess. Good point. Always. So now you have all the links. Sorry for that. Uh, yeah, it's better. So yeah, so yeah, this VMware portal for ports and protocols, let's say for H6. So by the way, it seems to be more complicated than I was thinking about. But if you think about the ports that needs to be open on-prem as well between H6 Manager and vCenter, it's much more ports as well. But not everybody are putting a firewall in front of management tool on their on-prem networks. So, but anyway, from on-prem to SDDC, I promise you, it's only 2 ports to be opened. So. Yeah, and so this portal is very useful and very handy. You just have to select the products that you want to leverage or you want to know about the ports that are needed, and then you just click and it will display all the needed for. So very useful when it comes to plan firewall rules and security, filtering. Okay, so on my side, I don't have anything else for today. I don't know if you folks have any, I don't know, any topics, any interesting things to share today. Uh, I don't know, the Marcus, if you want, or anything else. Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Gilles, anything else? No? Okay, so thank you for thank you're welcome. I hope everybody was interested, and thank you for attending. See you next time, and have a great day and end of the day for people who are ending the day. Bye-bye. Bye.